If you've ever said that is just not who I am, then this video is for you. I'm Judy, and thanks so much for joining me again today, joining Bernwalt TV. My goal is to provide information that is growth mindset focused as we are improving in areas of our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. And this is information that is good for everyone, including students and children. So today we will discuss mastering your mindset. If you missed the previous video, please go ahead and review it as we discussed a fixed versus a growth mindset. So the idea that lasting success starts with who we believe we are, which is rooted in James Clear's research on habits, where real transformation, according to James Clear's research, happens when your habits align with your self-image. So real transformation happens when your habits align with your self-image or your self-belief. So we will discuss why our goals fail without an identity change. So whether you're working on getting better grades, that's one of your goals for 2026, or you're working on becoming a better public speaker, or you're working at improving in a skill or in an area, this episode is for you. So have you ever said, I'm just not confident? I am just not a disciplined person, or I'm just not good at public speaking. That's one of the examples that I've used a few times. Have you said that to yourself? So these are not goals. These are not goals. You're making these statements about who you are. These are statements about your identity. So identity is very powerful. Identity is very powerful because once you believe this thing about yourself, your brain subconsciously take actions in that way or towards that belief. So this is what studies and research show, that your belief in your identity is subconsciously reframing and causing your actions to be a certain way. So it is really important, those conversations that we say about ourselves or those things we say about ourselves really impact how we move in this world and really impact what we do. So instead of saying I want to be more confident, you need to say I am becoming someone that speaks up even though that I am nervous, that speaks out. That's what you're saying. You're becoming that person. If you feel you lack confidence, your language needs to be I am becoming the person that speaks up. Goals are temporary. Identity is long term. So let's go over 3 steps that we will need to take to have an identity shift. So let's talk about 3 steps that we can use, that we can take to have this identity shift. First, decide who you are becoming. You have these goals, but we have to reframe them into an identity shift. Who are you becoming? So write it down. For example, you may say, I am becoming someone who speaks in a public setting, who is more confident speaking in a public setting. So I am becoming that person. I am becoming that person, and I will write it down. Then next, you want to identify what the steps are that you will be taking to become that person. For example, I am going to do a public speaking event for 5 minutes where I have to introduce myself to 5 people or to a smaller group of people. It's still considered public speaking, but that's one of my steps, right? Every week or every day, I will introduce myself to someone new. Every week, I will have a question during a large group meeting at work. Every week, I will have a statement that I can say and be prepared to say in a team meeting at work, right? Or if I volunteer for an organization, every week, this is what I'm going to do. So, your next step after you've written out what you're becoming is to come up with some steps that you can take. And once you do them, you're casting a vote for those steps, right? So you're voting. This is the person. So a person who is becoming a better public speaker will talk to 5 new people in a group, in a large group, right? There goes a vote for a person who is a public speaker. So cast your vote based on those steps that you take. And by the way, you don't need 100 votes. You just need to progress. You need to progress. So maybe you're talking in front of 5 people 1 month for a while, and then next month you will actually put yourself out there and start practicing and doing more, a larger group, right? So you're progressing. You just need to be consistently working on becoming. So step 3 is to not reinforce old labels. So you're not going to reinforce that statement where you said, I am not the person that does any public speaking. It's not me. That's not me. You're not going to reinforce that. Just be careful of those statements because, as mentioned before, your brain listens to you. And when you make those kinds of statements, you are subconsciously moving towards that goal or that person or that identity. So if you're the type of person who believes wholeheartedly that they're just not that person, your brain knows it, and your brain and everything starts to, it's a domino effect. You start to move in that direction. But yet you have a goal of getting better at it, but you're telling yourself you're not. So those things cannot all go together. And if they do, it's not going to be good. You're not going to meet that becoming and that identity shift that you need to make. So you need to take action, practice, practice, practice several times, and gradually you will improve. Here's something important to note. You do not need to be confident. You want to act confident. I remember something my mom used to tell me, and she probably would still say it now. Girl, put on your shoes, step in there, and hold your head up high. Which means, get dressed, put on your clothes, walk in there, hold your head up high, and be confident, right? You are just going to do it anyway. Do it although you are nervous. So confidence is not something you feel. It's just something you do. You walk in there. Here is your call to action. Your call to action is to write an identity statement. Write a statement about who you are becoming. Come up with some steps that you can take and track those steps. Give yourself votes for those things that you're doing, right? And see where you are after 7 days. All right. Thanks so much for joining me today, and we will continue the conversation next time. Bye.